And you know, in the further chapters, it even gets like it's what it sounds like is it gives a report of life on the higher planets, but it almost sounds like there's like a lot of pettiness going on over there. A lot of you'd be expecting like a higher realm of thinking and a higher realm of dignity to always be present.
But
But Bhagavatam is showing us a really important because this is all leading up to the chapter that's going to speak about Durvasa Muni and his cursing of King Ambarish. Now that's where the Bhagavatam is meant to focus on. It's framing out that story.
okay.
It's framing it out by telling us about a lot of great, even great sages. Like
Mhm.
Durvasa is he's a powerful mystic. We're
Mhm.
hearing about kings,
Mhm.
devas,
Mhm.
mystics. These are people that through their careful following and intense self-discipline, through the Vedic texts like the four Vedas and the Upanishads, they've achieved very high levels of success. High levels of success in karma can put you in the position of a deva, right? High levels of success in renunciation and austerity and so on. That could bring you to the level of a powerful mystic. And one could read those texts and thinks that's what this leads to, you know.
Right.
But then it's showing us that even these high level devas, even these very powerful kings, even the mystics, even though they're very powerful in the sense of their material achievement, you would expect that they would have this higher level of
Behavior.
behavior, mindset. But we see that they're caught up in the same kind of anxieties and pettiness and problems and disturbances that ordinary people are caught up in.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Rishikesh, India. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. This is episode 1540. Today is Friday, February 21st, 2025. Here live with Miss Mara, Mikey Goldberg, and Jiva from the Bhakti Recovery Group. And we're here in Rishikesh. Finally caught up to Kaustubha.
Yep.
It's nice. It was
Rolled in last night.
reuniting. I rolled in there. I saw him. He saw me from across the room. Slow motion, ran to each other, embraced, grabbed each other's wrists, swung us each other around, laughed, threw our heads back.
Didn't happen.
I was thinking like it could have happened like that. But it was great. It's great to be here. And I tell you, it is next level what's going on here.
Next level.
Next level Hare Krishna Festival. And okay, first
Another
we're talk
thing
about
that's
this.
next level.
Then there's a whole nother thing that's happening
Yeah.
next level, but there's a Hare Krishna explosion going on, people. In case you're under a rock, we are here in Rishikesh, which is for the longest time been a place where people come to look for God and they end up just going to cafes, smoking clove cigarettes, walking around aimlessly, doing a yoga, going bungee jumping.
Buying puffy pants.
Indians go bungee jumping here. That's like their idea. Like, yeah, we're gonna like go crazy, go and get natural, go into the mountains and bungee jump. Americans come and take, like in Europeans take yoga teacher training courses by Indians who get Yoga Alliance certified. It's just like the whole thing is backwards. It's just like everyone's just playing into the commercialization of yoga here, and it's sort of like it's an ancient city. It's a charming city. It's a quite beautiful city, and it's and all Indians are rediscovering the city. It's a place that like the Beatles came to. It's a place that Prabhupada came to. It's a place that Yogananda came to. It's a place where sages have been coming for years, but it's always lacked since we've been young, like a real spiritual strength because it's just so watered down now. But I tell you, Indradyumna Swami has stepped onto the scene, and they rent out this ashram, this beautiful old sadhu
I'm
ashram.
not even sure if they rented it. Maybe
Yeah.
they donated. In any case,
Whatever it
they've
is,
got
they
an
they've
ashram.
got this ashram from these sadhus, and the
Big ashram.
sadhus, a big ashram, and they bring 50 of his people in there, and they set up a free festival
Every day,
for a month. For a month,
5 weeks.
and 5 weeks. And yesterday was the first day, and I was just getting there in the evening. So I'm thinking, well, the first day is probably going to be pretty slow. I mean, they got to get the word out. They got to get. There's 500 people
They
there
were
yesterday.
turning people away at the
They
door.
turned away 200 people at the door.
Huh.
It's like every hippie, yogi, backpacker was in that place yesterday. And it was like a kirtan was in one room. You know what they do? They have this thing where you go up and the ladies pick out a sari hanging on a rack. They teach you how to wear the sari, and then they say you could just keep the sari
For free.
Yeah, and then they have this incredible feast with pakoras and 2 subjis and rice and dal and sweets, and it's all for free.
And incredibly well prepared.
Then they get the best kirtan guys from around everywhere,
Mhm.
and they're all leading kirtan. It's not like you're going to one kirtan guy. You're gonna like the best guys. You're gonna like the all-star team. It's one of those like, Moby Grape, Led Zeppelin, Bread,
They're on
the Grateful Dead.
They're on
the
the level
heroes.
of Moby Grape, for sure.
My point is, it's such an opulent thing, and you know what they want from it? Nothing. It costs nothing. And being a New Yorker, if I was like one of these hippies going to that, I'd be like, all right, what's the catch? What do you want? What do you want? And it's like, that's it. That's it. I remember when we used to get free food by the devotees. The first thing my New Yorker brain would say, what's going on? What's the catch here? What's in the food? Ever do that one? What's in the food? You know what the answer is? There's love in the food. There's love in the food. They're doing it out of love. This is how you share love. You share it with culture, and you conquer people's hearts.
Thank you.
They don't want your
Gotta
money.
keep that in mind.
They want your entire life.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful festival. And it's just, there's so much joy in that room. I walked in there last night. Sudyumna Swami was leading kirtan. Just the energy in that room. I mean, I don't want to sound too cliche or anything, but it was like you almost wanted to cry just walking there. Everyone was so joyful, so happy,
Yes,
so
nice.
just everyone let go of their ego, and with one voice, everybody's dancing and singing. You see people like they're just kind of brand new to this. They're wrapped up in a sari for the first time, and they're just
Losing
full
their
on
mind.
full on joy, just singing and chanting and dancing. I love it. And then they got stuff going on all day. They got all kinds of other stuff going on too. So the
Yeah,
night is when it gets
Kaustubha
really
gave
crowded.
a great class this morning.
Thank you, Raghunath.
We were Sudyumna Swami I had to check in with him because I didn't see him
Mhm.
yesterday, but we went to see his. Oh my God! We took the elevator to the roof. His room is on the roof, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if the elevator opened and we were in heaven and Sudyumna Swami was like one of the angels? But it was actually
Pretty much like that.
The elevator opened. Sudyumna was standing there, and he goes, "Come with me," and he takes us right into his room, where he has like a 360
Yeah.
view of deities all around him. It is the most incredible worship of ancient deities from all around India, and Shalagram Shilas and Govardhan Shilas and Nishringadev deities. 3 hours of worship every day just to maintain that. It's unbelievable.
Did you go into the lower room where they have the rest of the
I
deities?
didn't go to the lower room. I stay in the
It was
higher,
unbelievable.
higher
It was-
regions.
Raghunath, you didn't have to. You didn't have to take it that way.
No, but it was incredible. Anyway, then I came downstairs with Maharaj to hear Kaustubha's class. Kaustubha, that was a great class, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good class.
Oh,
It was a very
I
good
said,
class.
Raghunath, I do this all the time. You're like, what did you say? I said, I give classes like this all the time. And you said,
I said, yeah.
yeah, I've never listened to any of them.
Yeah, you're a pretty good preacher.
You're all right. You're all right.
Now, okay, so that's one little thing that's happening every day for the next 5 weeks. A few hours south of us in Gujarat,
Unbelievable.
50,000 people showed up.
These are our peeps.
50,000 people showed up for like Achyuta Gopi
Yeah.
and her family
Yeah.
and the Bhakti brothers. And just some dancer, all with a gigantic
Yeah.
screen behind you.
These are our peeps from New York.
Yeah, it's
These are Bhakti Center, Radha Govinda Mandir people.
50,000 people jumping up and dancing. And I was, you know,
That's like Coldplay. That's like, you know, that's like they're on
Kaustubha,
that
I
level.
was telling Kaustubha, he's like, I don't believe you. I was like, look at the video. He's like, well, that could be 4,000. That could be 3,000. That could be, and then he looked at another one. He goes, that could be 50,000.
That's 50,000.
50,000 people. It is so I tell you, something is happening in the air. I can feel it.
Okay. All right. Easy there, guy. Easy.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's beautiful to see. Beautiful.
And then there's this whole other Bhakti Yoga Rishikesh, which is a whole nother thing that's happening year round.
Yeah, they're here.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right. Okay, Rogan. You're gonna just have to calm it down just a little bit.
it's hard to calm down. I'm inspired in my Bhakti.
Okay.
We were just saying yesterday, like me and Mara were saying, thank God. Thank God. We met some devotees. Randomly, we met some devotees.
Mhm.
And we had no idea of the treasure that had fallen right on our laps.
Didn't know.
Ah.
Okay. Are there any announcements today, Margie?
Oh, look at that little face.
I'm gonna stick my face right
Look
here.
how bronze Miss Mara gets.
I know.
She's like a bronze statue.
Thanks. 6 a.m. Eastern time shows this Saturday and Sunday. And on Sunday, we'll be interviewing special guest Bhakti Vigana Goswami Maharaj.
His new book about prayer, prayers from the Bhagavatam.
Hmm.
Actually, it's about Queen Kunti's prayers from the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And those shows will be at 6 a.m. Eastern time.
Wow.
No sleeping in, anybody.
That's
No,
That's gonna be good.
How many times?
I've torn down cords with my leg 3 times now. Okay.
Okay, stop reading the. You were. Oh my God, what happened? We were so good in my Mara. What happened? You brought him to go, and he came back like
Relax.
ADHD. This is relaxed. This is relaxed.
All right, let's get the show rolling, Kaustubha.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Ryanum.
Narayanam. No, we didn't do a.
What?
We didn't do a.
Oh, nugget. I don't have a
Nugget.
nugget, but that was our nugget. Yeah. You just talked for a long
Narayanam
time.
namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato chayam madirayat. Before we start in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnanat Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumaditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. What are we on? New canto, canto
Yeah.
9,
Chapter 1.
text 1.
King Sudyumna becomes a woman. I had the,
King Sudyumna becomes a woman.
yeah.
There we go.
This this one, I had to do some apologetics in the last show for this.
Okay, good. Let's hear what you got.
so that you wouldn't have to. Yeah. No, because it's like if you just read this straight, it's you. Hey, you guys, please. Hey, Jiva, we're talking over here, okay?
We're
It's
doing a
very distracting,
podcast.
very distracting. Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Zip it. Zip. Why is she looking at us like all confused?
Yes. Shh. The
Right on the
thousands and
set.
Tens of thousands of people, and
Jeez.
Jiva's put on her own show
Yes.
in the back.
Oh, that's exactly what Raghunath always says. Like, because the 4-year-old blames it on somebody else, it's his fault.
Okay.
All right.
Everyone knows
How did
she's
I
my
end up with
twin
these two?
sister.
Why me?
You know what? Because you want us.
Do
'Cause
I?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've
All right.
called us.
Let's chill it out. So, yeah, we're hearing about how this King Sudyumna. But we ended with such a Muni. Remember the last?
Yeah.
The last canto.
fish
Yes.
Incarnation.
And so we heard that he would take birth as a Manu, as Vaivashvata Manu, and then he needs to have a son, right?
Yeah.
He does. He brings in the Brahmanas so that they can do rituals so that he can have a son.
Yeah.
But his wife talks to the priest and gets him to kind of switch it so that the mantras that they chant actually bring the birth of a girl.
Uh-huh.
And that's portrayed here as like it's a big problem,
Yeah. Okay.
and that it sounds very politically incorrect.
Well, it's politically incorrect, but we don't. We live in a world where
You're going to try to do the. I've already done the apologetics. If you
Okay,
want,
Well, it's one of these things like they want a male king. They're looking
Why?
for heir to the throne.
Why?
Why? Because it was before the age of gunpowder. Gunpowder that like leveled the playing field.
Not even still, because even with gunpowder, even with guns, it's still men that are on the front lines.
Well, no, yes, but yeah, there's emotional reasons why, but there's good
but
women
you're
soldiers.
going the
but,
same direction.
but yeah,
that I'm
it's the same
Is that the-
direction. You have a warrior male. It's sort of the.
You go ahead.
It's just,
I'm not. I won't
everyone's
be
a
saying a word in today's show, everyone. So Raghu will talk now. Go for it, Raghu.
very quickly when it comes to warfare, you're going to find the biggest person to defend you against oncoming, attacks.
Yeah. So my point was, a ruler in those days was someone that they had a very clear conception of what it was. It was someone that was trained, learned, had really good character, was had a strong spiritual calling, dharmic calling, but and a type of reverence or appreciation or deep respect for holy people, but on the other side, a complete savage on the battlefield.
Yeah, total savage.
Yeah, and that's the
And you
person that's going
want
to
that.
step up
You-
and protect
you
your
want
people.
that.
Yeah. So therefore, he needs a son, and so when it's
And
not
the
a son,
And
that's a
part of
problem.
their dharma is they want to have the sons because they're thinking of not just their family to protect, they're thinking of the citizens to protect.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's not just like they're favoring boys over girls.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just like they
They
have
love
the
girls. They value girls.
they
girls
value
are
girls.
praised
Girls
in
are their
Bhagavatam.
princess.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't get on our case for that,
Don't get on our
please.
case. But tell me, when there's a noise in the house, Mara has no fear. You know why? Because I'm leaving weapons under the couches, behind chairs.
I thought you would deal with it. In other words, you don't deal with it, but you leave some weapons behind so that she can deal with it.
No, I know where they're all hidden. I go right down. I listen for sounds. I start looking around like this.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't make you a warrior.
I was put through the test today.
All right.
One of those Langor monkeys
Oh,
came
they're
after
massive.
us.
Yeah.
Those are not the little Vrindavan monkeys. Those are the big, like Planet of the
They
Apes
normally
monkeys.
They normally don't go after people.
I know.
What did you do, Raghu?
What did I do? I was just like, oh.
No. I mean, what did you do to set it off?
Mara had a takeaway
Just the
piece of
food.
cake.
Oh, okay.
They knew.
Did they get it?
They didn't get it. I ran.
You ran. You ran and left
I
Mara
didn't have
there.
any weapons with me.
You pulled a total George Costanza. All right, let's get back into the Bhagavatam. This is
I
true.
apologize.
I apologize, people. I can't control this show today. I really can't. I don't have the strength.
Okay, we apologized.
Okay, so we read about how this yagna was done, how the girl was born, how Manu was like, what happened? This shouldn't happen. He's talking to Vaishishta, I believe. Yeah, Vaishishta. And he's saying, come on, like, I thought you knew how to do this kind of thing. I thought you could pull this
Right.
off.
They didn't tell. I wasn't here for this, so they didn't tell the husband that they switched the mantra.
So this is where we're at. He says, you are all self-controlled, well balanced in mind and aware of the absolute truth. And because of austerities and penances, you are completely cleansed of all material contamination. Your words, like those of the demigods, are never baffled. Then how is it possible that your determination has failed? How is it possible that a girl is born instead of a boy in this case?
Yeah.
Okay. Pick up there, right? Text
The
me.
most, I forgot that you did the show without me that day.
Yeah.
You did it with Jiva and
That's what I'm
Chapa.
saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
The most powerful great-grandfather of Vashishta, after hearing these words of Manu, understood the discrepancy on the part of the priest. Thus he spoke as follows to the son of the sun god. The discrepancy in the objective is due to your priest's deviation from the original purpose.
It's your priest. It wasn't me.
However, by my own prowess, I shall give you a good son.
Okay.
Sukadeva Goswami said. O King Cricket, after the most famous and powerful Vashista made this decision, he offered prayers to the Supreme Person, Vishnu, to transform Ila into a male.
So they turned the baby into a male, just like with some mantras.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller, being pleased with Vashista, gave him the benediction he desired. Thus, Ila was transformed into a very fine male named Sudyumna. O king, that hero Sudyumna, accompanied by a few ministers and associates and riding on a horse, brought from Sindhu Pradesh, a horse brought from Sindhu Pradesh, once went into the forest to hunt. He wore armor and was decorated with bows and arrows, and he was very beautiful. While following the animals and killing them, he reached the northern part of the
I
forest.
wonder about the editing of this. Wouldn't he be decorated with armor and carrying bows and arrows?
He wore armor
Yeah,
and
decorated.
was decorated
I mean,
with
I guess
bows
maybe
and
it's just a
arrows.
poetic way of saying it.
Yeah.
Now here we hear about a king who's, in the association and working under the direction of these sages, but he's hunting.
Mm.
Anything to say about that?
The Dharma of kings where they could hunt.
Because
Because they had to practice warfare.
we were talking about being a savage on the battlefield.
Yeah, you're practicing being a savage. I know that when I became a vegetarian, it made me less savage. It made me a little bit more sensitive.
Yeah, you became so sensitive.
I'm very sensitive, thank you.
Okay.
And the idea was, no, this guy has to become a little savage. As a matter of fact, they have these things. I've seen them in
Yeah.
antique shops, tiger claws. Ever see those?
Yeah.
They put them on, and the young warriors have to fight like a
You have
lion.
to fight a tiger just with a knife.
Yeah.
kind of thing, yeah.
It's not like a wholesale slaughterhouse what's going on. The British brought that in. They would just take out these guys and just go out and just like collect animals, stuff animals, and stuff like that. But if you think about it, in cities especially, or like kingdoms, even we were just in South India, and someone was telling us like, oh, you got to be careful not to go out at night. Don't go for walks in the morning or the night. Oh, it was Malini at the Ayurvedic clinic. The doctor said, don't go out walking in the morning or the night. I was like, why? Oh, well, there's a tiger loose.
Where?
In Kerala somewhere.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just one of these things. Like,
Yeah.
imagine before they hunted all these tigers, there's just a loose tiger.
Yeah, well,
So my point was that the king would also see that, and they'd have to somehow curb the population, because there's a lot of people who actually either live in a village, live in a forest, and stuff is still going on. There's always a story of a leopard taking a young girl somewhere.
happens all the time.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I was coming back from the Dehradun airport yesterday, driving, that road from the airport to Rishikesh, and I never came there. I'm always like riding in the bus or leading a kirtan for everybody. I'm looking at all the signs, and it's like, warning, elephant crossing. There's elephant crossing signs all over that road. And the elephants, they're not like deer, man. They get upset. They start flipping stuff, stomping on stuff. Okay, what were you going to say?
It's all right. Let's keep going.
Okay. You're going to talk about some lion, tiger.
I was just going to
episode.
say that what a warrior, the way that we can understand how things were ruled then was like, okay, say you're a Kshatriya, you're a warrior. You may be like a king you may be an emperor, right? You may like rule over other kingdoms, but you also may just be like the town police officer in a sense. Like you take care of a village.
Sure.
And so the village is looking to you to keep the place protected. And if there's a tiger prowling around, they're looking for you to take care of it because they don't want their children or themselves to get killed by a tiger. So then you got to go out and hunt that tiger down.
Yeah.
And so these, hunting was part of the Dharma of the
warrior
warriors.
class.
Okay.
Yeah.
But another thing that's really important is we see in the Ramayana, in Mahabharata, in Bhagavatam, whenever it talks about kings hunting, almost always it's followed by a calamity. Just go down the list, right? Dasarat, right? Pandu.
Shantanu, about Shantanu.
Shantanu.
He met a beautiful woman.
Was he hunting?
I think so.
Are you sure?
Not positive.
Okay,
but it was that.
Don't.
With the crew. I think they were out in the crew in the woods. He ended up finding his soulmate.
And also, of course, Marish Parikit where the whole Bhagavatam starts.
Mm-hmm.
So and so and we're going to see the same thing here.
There's some karma.
We're going to see
It's-
the same
it's-
thing here.
That's part of their everybody's got some karma in their dharma.
Okay. Karma in your Dharma?
Write that down.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to see what happens.
O
now.
king, that hero Sudyumna, accompanied by a few ministers and associates and riding on a horse brought
Right.
from Sindhu Pradesh, once went into the forest to hunt. He wore armor and was decorated with bows and arrows, and he was very beautiful. While following the animals and killing them, he reached the northern part of the forest. There in the north, at the bottom of Mount Meru, is a forest known as Sukumara, where Lord Shiva always enjoys with Uma. Sudyumna entered that forest.
So he enters a forest where Shiva is enjoying with his wife, right?
Okay.
Romantically.
O king, as soon as Sudyumna, who was expert in subduing enemies, entered that forest, he saw himself transformed into a female and his horse into a mare.
Oh.
It was a mare is a female horse,
There
right?
you go, Raghunath.
A
Mr.
fe-
Nature over here.
I'm not a horse guy.
Okay.
Generally, horse people are horse people.
Oh, yes.
It's like a cat person and a dog person. Then there's horse people. When his followers also saw their identities transformed and their sex reversed, they were all very morose and just looked at one another. Like, what?
I mean, that could be
Imagine if
confusing.
I'm sitting next to you and all of a sudden, what? Maharaj Pariksit said, "O most powerful Brahmin, why was this place so empowered? And who made it so powerful? Kindly answer this question, for I am very eager to hear about this." Sukadeva Goswami answered, great saintly person who strictly observed the spiritual rules and regulations and whose effulgence dissipated all the darkness of the directions, once came to see Lord Shiva in that forest.
Yes.
When the goddess Ambika saw the great saintly persons, she was very much ashamed because at that time she was naked. She immediately got up from the lap of her husband and tried to cover her breast. Seeing Lord Shiva and Parvati engage in sexual affairs, all the great saintly persons immediately desisted from going further and departed for the ashram of Naranarayan.
It's an awkward moment.
Awkward.
Thereupon.
Just to please his wife, Lord Shiva said, "Any male entering this place shall immediately become a female."
There you go.
Well, it's especially interesting because he was a female at birth,
Shiva?
you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's going back
It's like
to the
this
same
guy's
theme.
this guy's
Destined
like,
to be
"Wait
a
second."
woman. I was a girl and then I wasn't and now I am again. Well, what do you say about this, Raghunath? I mean, how are we supposed to accept this, that there could be some kind of mystic curse or mystic influence that you enter a certain area and you actually get like a full-on effective sex change? What do you make of that?
We have no clue what this mysterious world, we have no clue what this mysterious world has to offer us. What to speak of this mysterious world in a time and place historically where it was really mysterious? You know what I mean? When it was really India alone, 200 years ago,
What?
it was mysterious.
In what
It was
sense?
much more. It was much less contaminated by Western culture. Even though the British they were still
So you're saying
operating.
there's like lots of mystics around it?
Lots of mystics. We were just reading. There's a really good series of lectures by Sitala we've been listening to.
Oh.
Sitala, was on the show recently. She has this thing like 50 years in ISKCON.
Oh, I
And
heard about that.
It's
That's
really
very
good,
cool.
and it's just her telling stories, and it's like the good, the bad, the ugly. But it's not like she's condemning anything. She's just telling the story of the
Analyzing.
history,
Yeah.
analyzing it, and what people were going through. But it's from
Drawing lessons.
drawing
Okay.
lessons, and it's her perspective, and she's not even making a judgment on it. She's like, "Man, this person was a leader, and they fell, and this is how we reacted to it." And there's no harsh judgments, and because she's in such a positive, very focused, Krishna conscious mood, you don't feel like if I was to tell you that, like, this bad thing happened historically, you might get depressed. it might get you uninspired. But she is such an inspired person, and she leaves you walking away uplifted. But anyway, how did I get talking about this? Oh, she was just
200
she
years
was just talking
ago.
about this. She was like, yeah, I used to live in Vrindavan, and I got to this point where then I was doing a water fast for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and my back went out, and I don't know why it went out, but I couldn't move, and I had to go back to the States. And one of the devotees said, you should go to, what was his name? Krakiwala.
Krakiwala.
Krakiwala. She's like, who's Krakiwala? He goes, just go there. And the guy just looked at her and he goes, your back is fine. She goes, what are you talking about? My back is fine. I have to get on a plane tomorrow. Your back is fine. And the guy just poked her in the stomach and she screamed. He goes, your back is fine. And he's like, what did he do? He's just like, your digestion is ruined from whatever you've been doing. And now it is fixed. Something like this. You'll be able to go tomorrow. And sure enough, next day she was perfectly fine. She was just saying, I remember India back then, and it was just filled with mysterious things, mysterious people. That was in the 70s. Yeah. Imagine what it was like in the 1770s, just filled with mystics and peculiarities and, out of this world.
I keep going back to this really interesting statement by Einstein, who said that imagination is more important than knowledge. Right. And I try to think, really, what does that mean? And I think I've gotten deeper into that.
Oh, yeah.
We had it as a nugget once. But in other words, you can have knowledge of something. Yeah. And it could, as soon as I start talking, you started calling for just listen to me.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
God.
So what did I say?
You're like,
Yeah. And then you started.
You ramble on for like 45 minutes, and as soon as I start to talk, you're like,
Yeah, let me go check the chat board here. You're going to talk now, right? I can check out? Is that okay?
I feel like you have something important to share with our people.
Yeah, I share it with you, Raghunath, you see, and they listen in. That's the idea. That's how the podcast works. Yes, that's how it works.
I think I'm starting to get this
Yeah.
podcast thing. It's only taken 1,500 plus episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me, what do you think?
So not,
What I mean by that.
Let's say we got some knowledge. We read a textbook and we got the knowledge and we downloaded it and we had it. It only penetrates as far as that book penetrates. But if you have imagination, you can go further. If you don't have imagination, you're stuck there. And if you don't have imagination, you create knowledge filters. You say, oh, that's not possible. Well, that's not possible.
Yeah.
But that's not possible, even though it may be possible.
Sure.
And we have so many, again, we use this example. I've been using the example a lot lately. Just like, you give me any place, and a room anywhere, and I could say everything that's on YouTube is floating through this room right now, right? It's in the air.
Yeah.
Now, if you go back a century, 2 centuries, 3 centuries, that's going to sound completely
magical, far-fetched,
like a fantasy.
mythology.
Yeah, like a fantasy, like stories and images and
in the air, right?
Like just like a practically limitless body of knowledge is just floating through the air. But now we know that it can be done.
Sure.
Now, if you had no imagination, you might have been the most knowledgeable person in science 300 years ago, but if you had no imagination, you might say that's not possible. Whereas you might have less knowledge, but if your imagination allows you, you might even discover how to do it. So in that sense, imagination is more important. When it comes to text and crazy, we're hearing crazy things. Oh, they entered into zone. It's like Star Trek or something, right?
Yeah.
And then their bodies transformed into another gender. That sounds impossible. But, I think all the time, like computer technology is just giving hints of like how these things can be possible, right? Like you can have a body in a virtual realm, and then that body could easily be changed. You could be the same person working through a completely different body. Why should we not accept that it's possible? That it's possible that this world may be, for others, a similar virtual realm that could be manipulated just as easily. And someone on the level of Shiva might be able to set that up, right? Might be able to code that into a certain zone.
Pull that one off.
Okay, right. Yeah. So Lord Shiva could encode that area in such a way where that virtual transformation would take place. That's what Bhagavatam is saying. What I always appreciated about Sariputta, this Dr. Richard L. Thompson, who was a friend of ours, not, he was like a
Teacher
senior
of
person,
ours.
teacher of ours.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't call him my friend. I don't think he'd like, I don't think he'd invite me out for tea.
Okay.
But
Whatever.
I've been to his classes. I listened to him. I appreciated him. But he was
Yeah.
we were alive when he was alive, and
Well, we knew him, and he was
we
friendly
knew
with
him,
us.
and he was friendly with us.
Yeah. So what I found so fascinating is when he would give Bhagavatam class. Well, for some time, I stayed in the San Diego temple, and he would give class once a week.
Yeah. That was
Everyone would
good.
look
That
forward
was
to
good.
right? Yeah. That's what I was saying the other day. Like, we used to be like, every class is like,
Every
oh man, this is gonna be
class.
great. So he would give class, and he would take the narrations in Bhagavatam, but he would kind of like reflect them back in scientific language.
Mm.
And when he did that, it just kind of changed your perspective on it. It
Like,
just kind of-
oh, that is possible. It's not just myth.
yeah, like he's speaking about it almost matter of fact,
Mm.
and just showing that here's a possibility that just like you could encode a virtual reality in a particular way and manipulate it in a particular way. For others, this world may be just as manipulatable,
Sure.
as prone to manipulation. And so that's what Bhagavatam is telling us. You can read it like it's a fantasy story and treat it like fantasy, or you can read it like science and treat it like science, and say, okay, they're making a claim. This book is making a claim that the world that we see, the matter that we engage with, could be manipulated just like computer technology could be manipulated by a human being. That there may be beings that have the technology and my claim is that something like YouTube and radio waves and so on is an example of how that's happened even within our own lifetime. Okay.
Good one.
Thank you, Raghunath. Shall we keep reading? Do we have time? Yeah, we got time.
Environments have effects.
They do?
Yeah. Bermuda Triangle. Ever heard of that?
Okay.
All right. So now Shiva said, I'm going to program our area here. Anybody that walks into it is going to become female. Since that time, text 33.
Since that time, no male had entered that forest, but now King Sudyumna, having been transformed into a female, began to walk with his associates from one forest to another.
Okay.
Sudyumna had been transformed. Wait a minute. What about the other men on his party?
They're with him.
They got
They're with her.
transformed too?
Yeah, they all did. Their horses, everybody.
It's interesting. Even his horse.
Yeah. It even went down to the horse.
It went down.
Uma was probably happy. Nice. Okay.
It's all right. Sudyumna had been transformed into the best of beautiful women who excite sexual desire and was surrounded by other women. Upon seeing this beautiful woman loitering near his ashram, Buddha,
Not the same Buddha that we.
different Buddha, the son of the moon, immediately desired to enjoy her.
The son of the person who's responsible for the workings of the moon.
Okay. The beautiful woman, who also desired to accept Buddha, the son of the king of the moon, as her husband. Thus, Buddha begot in her womb a son named Pururava.
Okay. So.
All right. So wait a second. As a woman, he got pregnant.
She got pregnant.
Well, yeah, but it was Sudyumna.
She got pregnant, Raghunath. Okay, she.
No,
It's
you
a
can't
female. All right.
I'm not using appropriate pronouns.
She. Say it.
You said-
But it is interesting. He got a female body. Now he is a she, and the female hormones and the female mindset and the female desires.
okay.
Okay. And they had a son.
And they had a son.
So that's good news, right?
That's good. It's working out great.
Okay.
I heard from reliable sources that King Sudyumna,
Sudyumna.
Sudyumna, the son of Manu, having thus achieved femininity, remembered his familial spiritual master, Vashishta.
Mhm.
Upon seeing Sudyumna's deplorable condition, Vashishta was very much aggrieved.
He's like, I worked so hard to turn you into a male warrior,
And now
And
you've
now
become a
you become a female that's not going to be. Please
you
forgive
just
me.
got, well,
but
you just got pregnant. You're not going to go out to
Yeah,
war.
Good, exactly.
There you go.
Okay.
It's just there's some maternity leave.
Right.
Vashishta was very much aggrieved, desiring for Sudyumna to regain his maleness. Vashishta again began to worship Lord Shiva.
He's like, can I reprogram the encoding? Can I re-encode what Shiva has encoded? Right? Maybe we can switch it back.
Just pulling him back and forth and back and forth.
Now he's a mother.
Now he's a mother. O king, Lord Shiva was pleased with Vashishta. Therefore, to satisfy him and keep his own word to poverty, Lord Shiva said to that saintly person, your disciple Sudyumna may remain a male for 1 month and a female for the next. In this way, he may rule the world as he likes.
Okay.
He's got to go back and forth.
I
and
think
back
I
and
would
forth.
prefer just one or
Just
the
pick
other. Okay, continuing.
Because then you have to have a whole different family.
Okay. Thus being favored.
I'm trying to think this one out.
What?
Like, who's he going to marry then? He's going to marry
I
someone
know it's
who's-
very complicated.
It's very complicated. He either has to have, when he's a male, he has to have a wife.
Maybe you got to
or
get
when
the
he's
other
a
for
female. Yeah, a female or a different one, or you got to. King Sudyumna had 3 very pious sons named Utkala, Gaya, and Bimala.
Thus being
Oh, I'm
favored.
sorry. Thus being favored by the spiritual master, according to the words of Lord Shiva, Sudyumna regained his desired maleness every alternate month, and in this way ruled the kingdom. Although the citizens were not satisfied with this.
Yeah, because
See?
they're like, we've got someone, like a real general 1 month, and then he's like a nursing mother the next month
Yeah. 'Cause
We
what
need-
happened if you get attacked on that month?
on that month. And probably the other kingdoms are thinking about that.
Yeah.
All right.
O king, Sudyumna had 3 very pious sons named Utkala, Gaya, and Bimala, who became the kings of the Dakshinapata. Dakshinapata. Thereafter, when the time was ripe, when Sudyumna, the king of the world, was sufficiently old, he delivered the entire kingdom to the son Pururava and entered the forest.
Okay.
That was a thing. You just go into the forest.
Yes, as soon as possible. Especially in this case, I think it's a good idea.
You know what? Life's been tricky.
It's been tricky. You run with it. Okay? And by the way, don't go to this certain area of the
There's
forest.
a certain area of the forest. This is where you don't go.
But I read this story, Raghunath, and then I read the next chapter, and I started going to the 3rd chapter.
You guys give us a spoiler here.
Well, in a sense, because I was like, why is it telling us all this stuff? And in the further chapters, it even gets like, it's what it sounds like is it gives a report of life on the higher planets, but it almost sounds like there's like a lot of pettiness going on over there. A lot of you'd be expecting like a higher realm of thinking and a higher realm of dignity to always be present.
But
Bhagavatam is showing us a really important lesson, because this is all leading up to the chapter that's going to speak about Durvasa Muni and his cursing of King Ambarish. Now, that's where the Bhagavatam is meant to focus on. It's framing out that story. It's framing it out by telling us about a lot of even great sages. Like Durvasa is he's a powerful mystic. We're hearing about kings, devas, mystics. These are people that, through their careful following and intense self-discipline, through the Vedic texts like the 4 Vedas and the Upanishads, they've achieved very high levels of success. High levels of success in karma can put you in the position of a deva, right? High levels of success in renunciation and austerity and so on, that could bring you to the level of a powerful mystic. And one could read those texts and thinks that's what this leads to,
Right.
But then it's showing us that even these high level devas, even these very powerful kings, even the mystics, even though they're very powerful in the sense of their material achievements, you would expect that they would have this higher level of
behavior,
mindset. But we see that they're caught up in the same kind of anxieties and pettiness and problems and disturbances that ordinary people are caught up in.
It's a good lesson.
Thank
It's a good
you for
lesson.
shaking my
Raghunath
hand.
Kaustubha.
Thank you. Thank you, Raghunath. And so it's kind of like giving us this run. I think most Western people, what to speak of skeptics or people that have some cynicism towards Eastern philosophy or Eastern mysticism, would hear this stuff and say, "What kind of primitive literature do you have here?
What kind of simple
Oh, the cursing and
fantasies?
counter cursing and all this weird stuff is going on. These
Switching
are
your
silly
bodies.
stories. Yeah, these are silly stories. But
Life on other planets,
But-
gigantic fish with horns. Come on.
But what it's really doing is it's showing us, it's framing out one central message. You need to learn this from a teacher, right? Like it's framing out one central message. And that message has to, what we're going to see is Durvasa. Durvasa walks around and people are terrified because he's so powerful. He's got such mystic power. But he loses control of himself. He becomes angry for no reason. Just because his ego got just the slightest bit of, a
Yeah.
little poke, right? Even what
It's
and,
gonna be okay.
and just because Ambarish didn't do anything wrong. He drank a little water before he served Ambarish because he had to break a fast and he didn't want to break it, so he didn't eat, but he drank a little water.
That's
And for that he curses him.
Mm.
And then the
petty.
most
It's petty.
heady, ego based, and look where it put him in intense anxiety. Now his mystic power is just being used to run around the universe trying to avoid his own destruction. And he approaches Vishnu, and this is where we start to get the real message. He approaches Vishnu and says, "Please help me. I've got this suitor. It's your chakra. It's your suitor sun chakra right in my burning my back. I'm running all over the universe, being chased by this." And Vishnu's saying, "I can't help you. I can't help you because I'm so." Now we get something that's not petty. Now we get something that's really deeply meaningful, something deeply profound. We get to hear about the deepest type of love, right? This is what life is all about, not all that other petty stuff. The deepest. Vishnu says, "I'm sorry, I can't help you because my devotee owns my heart. My devotee owns my heart. Oh, God isn't that big. Is God one of these petty people that's getting upset about this and cursing and counter cursing and, up one moment and down the no. What he is he's actually self-satisfied, but actually controlled by love. So soft-hearted and kind, controlled by love. He says, I wish I could help you, but my heart is the property of Ambarish. You need to go to him. If he can forgive you, you'll be fine." And so I really believe that these chapters, there's going to be about 2 more chapters of stuff like this, like the pettiness of the higher realms, to make that message clear to us, so that when we get to the Bhagavatam and we're getting Vyasa's final message, he's saying, you know what? I've written a lot about the higher planets. I've written a lot about mysticism and mystics and different types of power, but you don't want that. That's not going to give you happiness. That's not going to give you Atma Suprasidhiti. That's not going to give you complete satisfaction. So as a matter of fact, it just brings you anxiety. It just brings you stuff. Yeah, maybe they enjoy on those higher planets, no doubt. But there's also anxiety and pettiness and all. It's kind of like sometimes people, they're working at some job and they're just like, I just can't take the environment here anymore.
Yeah.
And then they make the big move and they switch over to something else and they say, all the same petty stuff
all
is
the
right
same
here. Right? And so Vyas is telling us it's like that. Don't bother. Don't take my earlier writings and see them as the goal and try to become a powerful mystic or a powerful karmi and take some higher birth on higher. You don't take any interest in that. You won't find happy. You're going to find the same kind of anxieties and pettiness and stuff like that there, just like you find it here.
I've seen people who work with devotees in the material world, and
Yeah.
they just get this. I can't work with devotees
Devotees.
anymore.
Yeah, all the time.
So they would go back. I'm never working with devotees again, and they work with non-devotees. You're like, well, I'm never doing that again either. That was even worse. I'm only working with devotees.
Right.
Oh, Miss Mara, come on down, Miss Mara. What do you got for
What
us?
you got, Mara?
Got some takeaways.
Okay.
Conquer hearts with culture and love.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good one.
There's some karma in your Dharma.
Everybody's got a little karma in their dharma. Well, most people.
My karma. ran over my dogma.
Oh, yeah. Is that
Imagine-
Raghunath?
Imagination is more important than knowledge.
That's right, according to Einstein.
What?
Why not accept the possibilities?
Why not accept it? You know,
Believe.
at least
Kaustubha.
open up the
That's my
possibilities.
mantra I'm giving you today.
And I'm going to give
Believe.
you right on back to you.
Believe. I've got it. I believe. I believe you don't.
I believe I do. Why can't you believe that?
I'm sorry, people. I had the gigs today. Whew.
Mystics and devas can get caught in the same ego-based pettiness and anxiety as us.
That's right.
Mystics and devas.
God is controlled by love.
Yes.
Shiva might be able to encode and manipulate our entire virtual world.
I think he can.
You might be. He might.
Might be. Believe, Mara. Believe.
Mara, just believe a little bit. Believe.
And
Yeah.
Oh,
life's been complicated. Pass on the kingdom and go to the forest.
there you go. That's good advice.
Go to the forest, people. Thanks everybody for joining us. Singing the holy name. That's what it's all about. Life is short. Let's sing the holy name. Let's super short. You can get stomped on by an elephant, electrocuted. Tigers taken by a leopard. These things are happening on a regular basis. You can also go to Kirtan with 50,000 people. Thanks everybody for joining us. I didn't say hello to some people out there. Just want to say hey to Paramananda Prabhu. Road Rage, seeing you. Woo! I gotta go because I'm doing the Kirtan tonight. DC Dubs, good morning. Saraswati G, who else is here, Mayor? Nia in South Africa. AJ Sullivan. Bet. Hey, Bet.
Back in the States.
He's back. Mayapur is happening for something. Hey, Martine. Hey, Mike Dexter. Nityananda Chandra. All right, pull it to you. Stephanie, oh, it's so funny. Okay, we're going to get them to take off their masks. We need to find out who they are. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Let the magic continue to flow. And a big howdy bo, everybody.